as the rays of light from the sun-soaked waters of our Earth's vast oceans slowly fade into the still darkness of the depths below. We encounter the incredible creatures that make the deep sea their home. Descending from the Sunlight Zone, down through the twilight, the midnight, into the dark abyss, and all the way to the very bottom of the Hadal Zone. You'll witness a world unto its own. Adaptations to an unforgiving environment that will leave you mesmerized. And a journey of deep tranquility that will leave you calm and at ease. I'm Jordan Ferguson, and this is See It First. Tonight, we'll sink through the layers of the ocean, exploring a unique and fascinating world unlike anything you've seen before. Above us, the ocean's surface still shimmers with the last of the sun's light. Here, in the upper ocean, sunlight pours through the water, illuminating vast blue spaces and colorful reefs, where life is abundant. Shoals of fish drift through the glow. Jellyfish pulse softly in the current. And great marine animals move through these brighter waters with ease. This is the Sunlight Zone, the uppermost layer of the sea, stretching from the surface down to around 200 meters below the waves. It is the only part of the ocean where enough light penetrates for photosynthesis to take place, and supporting much of the marine world below. Although it makes up only a small fraction of the ocean by volume, the sunlit upper layer is home to around 90% of all marine life. From tiny drifting plankton to enormous migrating whales, this layer is rich with life and movement. With every meter we descend, the light weakens, the water cools, and this familiar world begins to change. Color slowly fades. The longer red and orange wavelengths are absorbed first, leaving behind a deep blue that steadily darkens. And as we continue downward, the ocean we know slowly starts to slip away. The pressure rises. The space around us grows quieter. And ahead lies the first great transition into the deeper sea. Leaving the epipelagic zone behind, we cross into the mesopelagic, more commonly known as the Twilight Zone. Gone is the bright, sunlit world above, and what remains is a dim and narrowing blue. A weak, filtered glow that grows fainter with every meter we descend. It is no longer strong enough for photosynthesis. No plants grow here. No reefs rise up towards the light. But oddly enough, it's not the end of light in the deep sea. Past 200 meters and reaching down to 1,000 meters of depth, the Twilight Zone is where the first signs of bioluminescence appear. Soft pulses of light emanate around us. Brief flashes in an otherwise dark and isolating place. These are signs of creatures creating their own light. Some use it as a form of communication, signaling to potential partners in the vast emptiness. Some use it to confuse and distract predators. While others use their light to lure prey closer. In a world where vision is limited and every movement matters, even the smallest light can mean the difference between feeding and being fed upon. And as night falls above the ocean, this layer becomes the stage for one of the greatest migrations on Earth. Under the cover of darkness, countless animals begin to rise. Small fish, crustaceans, jelly-like drifters and squid ascend from the twilight into the upper ocean to feed in safer, richer waters near the surface. Then, before dawn, they sink once more into the depths below. This daily movement is known as diel vertical migration. It happens across oceans all over the planet every single day, involving billions upon billions of animals. Though much of it passes unseen by human eyes, it is one of the largest migrations on Earth. For the creatures of the Twilight Zone, rising upward at night offers the opportunity for more food while avoiding detection, before disappearing back into the darkness by day for protection. And so, life here exists in a delicate balance between hunger and safety, between concealment and exposure, between the fading light above and the growing darkness below. As we continue to descend, even this dim blue twilight begins to disappear. The outlines of animals soften. The glow from above weakens still further. And soon, there's no sunlight left at all. Below us now lies the Midnight Zone, a realm of permanent darkness. Stretching from around 1,000 meters down to 4,000, the Bathypelagic, or Midnight Zone, is a realm the sun can never reach. The faint blue glow from above is gone. The water is cold, the pressure immense, and the darkness complete. Here, life must endure in a world of scarcity. Much of the life in this layer of the ocean depends on what drifts slowly down from above. A constant fall of organic debris, tiny fragments of plankton, waste, and the remains of dead animals descends through the water in what scientists call marine snow. It is gentle, almost invisible at times, and yet this slow rain from the upper ocean helps sustain life in the deep. Even so, food here is never guaranteed. A meal may be rare, and the creatures that live at these depths must be ready to take any opportunity they can. Some are equipped with enormous mouths, long teeth, and expandable stomachs. Others drift slowly through the water, waiting patiently in the dark. In the Midnight Zone, speed is often less important than efficiency. Every movement has a cost, and every missed opportunity matters. And so, many of the animals here are built not for pursuit, but for patience. They drift in the current, waiting for their moment. Here we find some of the deep sea's most unusual hunters. Creatures with hinged jaws, trailing lures, loose, soft bodies, and forms that don't seem possible. To us, they may appear strange, even otherworldly, but each adaptation is a precise answer to the demands of living at this depth. Bodies are shaped by pressure, darkness, and potential, all to serve their survival in this extreme environment. And though the Midnight Zone may seem empty, it is far from lifeless. Hidden in the water column around us are fish, squid, crustaceans, and drifting invertebrates, all part of a vast community spread across the dark open ocean. One such drifter is the seafloor, a delicate predator that moves through the midnight zone with little sign of effort. Its body is nearly transparent, soft, fragile looking, and in the darkness, it can seem almost ghost-like. But this drifting creature carries a remarkable ability. When disturbed, many xenophores can produce flashes of blue-green bioluminescence from specialized light-producing cells in their tissues. Sometimes the glow appears as a soft pulse, sometimes as rippling waves of light moving across its body. And in some species, even glowing particles can be released into the water as the animal attempts to escape. In the deep sea, this light is thought to serve mainly as a defense. A sudden flash may startle a predator for just a moment, or draw the attention of something even larger nearby, turning the hunter into the hunted. For a creature with no armor, no speed, and almost no place to hide, that brief distraction can mean survival. There is another challenge in a world filled with living light. Many of the animals a xenophore feeds on are bioluminescent themselves. They may continue to glow from inside the predator's transparent body, making it visible in the darkness. Some deep-sea xenophores solve this with dark red internal tissues, helping to conceal the light of a recent meal. So even in a creature as delicate as this, bioluminescence is not simply beautiful. It is part of a careful balance of defense, concealment, and survival in the black waters of the deep. As we continue to sink, the open water around us begins to feel even more immense. The animals become fewer, the distance between them greater, and far below, the seafloor of the deep ocean begins to emerge. A vast plain of darkness awaits, cold, still, and seemingly endless. Past 4,000 meters into the dark ocean depths lies the abyss, or Abyssal Zone, stretching down to 6 kilometers below sea level. Gone is the open water of the midnight zone. Here, the ocean floor stretches out before us in plains of fine sediment, a cold and silent landscape. A place so remote that for centuries it was thought that nothing could live down here. And yet, life does endure. The temperature hovers just above freezing and the pressure is immense. Food becomes even more scarce. What's left of the marine snow falling from above continues to drift down through the water, settling onto the sea floor in a slow and constant fall. Over time, this creates a soft blanket of sediment, a deep marine dust built over thousands, even millions of years. At first glance, the Abyssal Plain can seem totally empty. But look more closely. Tracks wind across the seabed. Small disturbances mark the mud. Faint movements reveal animals quietly making their way across this dark and distant world. Sea cucumbers graze across the sediment, gathering what little nourishment they can. They are the seafloor's great recyclers. As they move across the mud, they feed on organic, rich sediment, swallowing the seafloor itself and extracting what little nourishment remains from the marine snow that's drifted down through the layers above. In doing so, they help recycle nutrients through one of the most remote ecosystems on Earth, earning them a fitting nickname from marine scientists: the vacuum cleaners of the sea. And they are remarkably well suited to life at these depths. Sea cucumbers have no gas-filled spaces that would be easily crushed by the immense pressure of the deep. And some abyssal species have evolved unusual ways of moving across the soft seabed. One of the strangest is the sea pig, a deep-sea sea cucumber that walks on long, stilt-like tube feet, lifting its body above the mud so it doesn't sink into the soft sediment below. With feeding tentacles gathered around its mouth, it picks through the sea floor for decaying organic matter. Pale, ghost-like fish glide along slowly, expending as little energy as possible. Like many other deep-sea creatures, they rely less on speed than on patience. Drifting just above the sediment, or cruising low over the sea floor in search of anything edible. In the deep abyss, where food may be scattered across vast distances, even the faint scent of carrion or disturbed mud can be enough to draw them in. One such fish is the giant cusk eel. Sometimes called a swimming nose, it uses large olfactory organs to sniff out its next meal. Feeding on bottom-dwelling invertebrates, and sometimes the carcasses of animals that have sunk from far above. It does not need to rush. In this world, survival often belongs to the animal that can wait, detect, and waste as little energy as possible. Life in the abyss moves at a very different pace. Slower, quieter, and more deliberate. In some places, the seafloor is perfectly flat for miles at a time. A dark plain stretching farther than the eye could ever see. In others, small rises and ridges emerge from the sediment. Fragments of a world usually hidden from view. It is one of the largest habitats on Earth, and also one of the least explored. Even now, much of the abyssal sea floor remains unseen by human eyes. Perhaps that's what makes it feel so otherworldly, so far removed from the warmth and motion of the surface world. And yet, even deeper still, the ocean floor begins to change once again. The broad abyssal plains start to break. Great slopes angle downward, and deep trenches appear. Ahead lies the deepest and most extreme part of the ocean, named after the Greek god of the underworld, Hades himself. The seafloor fractures into long, narrow trenches. Deep wounds in the Earth's crust formed where one tectonic plate has crashed into and sunken beneath another. This is the Hadal Zone, the deepest layer of the ocean, found only in these steep and isolated rifts in the seafloor. Some of these trenches plunge for many kilometers into the earth. Among them lies the deepest known point in the entire ocean, the Challenger Deep, found in the Mariana Trench, descending to more than 10,900 meters below the surface. A place so deep that the weight of the water above approaches around 1,000 times the pressure we experience at sea level. The world here feels even more distant. The seafloor is no longer a broad, open plain. Instead, great slopes fall away into confined basins and trench floors. The walls rise steeply into darkness, and the cold remains constant. As you might have already suspected, life still finds a way to exist here, navigating one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Along the upper reaches of the Hadal trenches, delicate snailfish drift low over the bottom, soft-bodied and pale, perfectly adapted to conditions that would crush any surface creature. They are the deepest fish known to science, seen at depths approaching 8,000 meters. But below that limit, fish disappear from the trenches altogether. Deeper still, the trench floor belongs to other survivors. Amphipods gather in the dark, small crustaceans swarming toward any rare meal that has managed to sink through all 4 layers of ocean above. In some trenches, they become the dominant scavengers of the deepest seafloor, carrying on in a world where familiar vertebrate life can no longer follow. And beneath and around them, hidden in the sediments themselves, microbial life continues its slow, unseen work, surviving in ways we are only beginning to understand. Perhaps that is what makes the depths of the Hadal Zone so mysterious and so compelling. Not simply that it is so deep and remote, but that it remains so unknown. These trenches are among the least explored habitats on Earth. Even now, only a small number of dives, samples, and surveys have ever reached their deepest floors. New species, new behaviors, and new questions continue to emerge from every descent. At the very bottom of the ocean, our slow journey through the world above does not end in emptiness. It ends in a new frontier. A dark, silent world filled with discoveries waiting to be uncovered. And so, here, at the very bottom of the ocean, our descent comes to an end. Far above us, beyond miles of cold, dark water, the surface still moves beneath the sky. Waters still rise and fall. We've traveled from the bright waters of the Sunlight Zone, through glowing twilight, the endless midnight, and the still abyss, and finally to the deepest hidden trenches of our Earth's oceans. Each layer has revealed a world of its own. A world shaped by pressure, darkness, scarcity, and time. And yet, against all odds, still filled with life. But even now, after all our exploration, so much of it remains unseen. And maybe that's a comforting thought, that somewhere beneath the waves, beyond the noise of the world above, there are still places of such stillness, such darkness, and such quiet wonder that they remain almost untouched. And as the ocean settles around us, we leave it as we found it. Vast, silent, and full of mystery.